Welcome to How to Access Your Live Sessions. In this video, you will learn three things. You will learn where to find your live session times as well as your links. You will also learn how to log into your live session. And then finally, you will learn the components of the Adobe Connect page that you will be using. Make sure to take notes as we walk through each of these areas so that you will be able to go back and use them as a reference when you're ready to try your first live session. Let's begin with where to find your live session times. There are many places where you can find these, but the easiest one is directly in your course. Once you are in your course, if you scroll down along the left side, you'll see that your instructor will have created a list of information for you. You can find very important information like the instructor's cell and email, but what we're interested in is our live webinar information or our live sessions. So if you'll notice, our live webinars for this instructor are Tuesdays at 11 a.m. That's the time. And here is the link to get to those live webinars. Notice it says Classroom Elliott. That's your instructor's name, and that's the classroom. Now remember that live webinars are the only type of live session that has a defined day and time. The live office is per request by you or request by the teacher. And then the link is provided for that as well. Some other places that are handy in which you can find the time of your webinar is over on the right side. Many of your instructors will put a calendar date. Join the Core 1 webinar, 1 p.m. You can also click here on your calendar and a calendar opens up and you can see when your live webinar is. In addition to those two areas, many teachers will write an update on your updates page so that you are reminded to go into your webinar. Finally, if you go to our home page, APS Online High School, and you go under Schedules, you will see the Master Webinar Schedule. Now this schedule was from last year, but you'll see one that's updated for this year. And you can find the times and days for all of your class webinars. Now let's move on to login information. Well, I'm going to go ahead and go into my live webinar. So I'm going down to this link down here and I'll click on it. It will take me directly to my login page. I want to make sure that I enter as a guest. So right up here, I need to make sure that I have this radial button clicked here. And then within this square, I'm going to type my first name and my last initial. So it'll look like this. Once I'm done typing my first name and last initial, and make sure you make note of that, I'm ready to enter the room. All I need to do is click on Enter the Room, and I'll go into the room. Now, I may have to wait for my instructor to open the session or to let me in, so you may see a notice like this. This is a private meeting. Your request to enter has been sent to the presenter. Please wait for a response. When the presenter is ready, they'll allow you in. Now that I'm in, I'm ready to start collaborating. So that's how you log in. Remember, log in as a guest, use your first name and your last initial. Let's go ahead now that we're here and look at components of the Adobe Connect page. These are things that you'll be using. Well, notice right away that I have a whiteboard here. This is what the teacher will put up. Sometimes it'll be a PowerPoint or some sort of presentation for you to see. The second thing you should look at is the chat box over here on the right. Notice that the teacher wrote, "Hello, we will get started momentarily." You are able to type in here as well. So you might say in response, "Hello, how are you?" Hit enter and your chat message comes through. Everyone can see that. But that's one way that you can communicate with your teacher. So remember, you have a chat box. It may or may not be on the right side depending upon your teacher's layout. The other thing that you'll be using is the microphone, and that's up here at the top. Notice the microphone is white or gray, meaning that Right now they can't hear your voice. When it's your turn to talk, you want to click on this arrow and connect your audio. Go ahead and say aloud if you get this message. And now everyone can hear you talk. Notice that my green microphone is projecting voice waves. That means that I'm talking. When you're done talking, especially if there's feedback, it may be beneficial to click back on this arrow and mute your microphone. That way there's not feedback from multiple people talking. Occasionally your microphone won't work. In that case, you'll need to go to Meeting, go to Audio Setup Wizard, and then run through this setup wizard in order to connect the type of microphone that you're using. Remember that many computers have a microphone built into the computer itself, like this one that I'm using, or if you don't have one, you can check one out from us at APS Online that you'll just plug into your computer and then you can talk through that. A third way to communicate is through these student note pods. You'll notice that all you have to do is click in the note pod and you can start typing. I can change the color and the size of my font by just clicking on these buttons here, font color and the size. Sometimes your teachers will want you to type your work in these note pods or type your thoughts. Another final way that you can communicate is by going to this little man with the hand raised. And if you click on the down arrow, you can see that you can raise your hand, you can agree, you can disagree, you can step away, you can tell your teacher to speak louder or softer, speed up, slow down, laughter, applause. You can see that there's many options. If I click on agree, notice that over here on the right, the little hand, or I should say in this case there's an arrow, pops up. If I am done agreeing, then all I need to do is go back up to this and clear agree. Now you have learned the 4 key components of communicating within Adobe Connect. Remember, you can use your microphone, which is very important. It's hard to have a conversation unless you can talk directly to your teacher. Also, you have a chat area where you can put in questions or comments as the lesson is moving on. You also have a notepad area where you can type your work or your thoughts in response to a question. And finally, you have a little man with a hand up where you can set your status as raising hand, agree, disagree, etc. And that concludes our lesson today on how to access your live sessions. So make sure you have this in your notes, and now you know where to go, what time it is, how to log in, and the components of your Adobe Connect page.